Well, it's Saturday night and we're back at beautiful Buffalo Valley Raceway to take another crack at the clocks with this thing. And the mission is to go slightly less slow than the last time. We made some changes. We found some, what I think are the problems that are basically holding the car back, and we'll give it another shot. So just out of trivia, we pit here at the very end of the track. So this way I can just make the run, shut it off, and coast right up to the trailer here, get a clean plug read. But where we are right now, if you look over here, a couple of times a year, they have a motorcycle hill climb, which is a big event. I haven't been to it yet. I got to check it out. It takes giant stones to do that. It's nuts. So I'm definitely going to come here for that. Also, Dr. Art is here with his turbocharged 5.3 Ranger, so we're going to check that thing out. I think he just ran like a 730 with it, which is pretty stout. So, like I said, I think we found issues in the ignition system. We did a whole video on that earlier this week, and if the car picks up some, we'll keep going. If it doesn't pick up, if I don't see like a significant improvement, I'm just gonna put it right back on the trailer because we have to go back to the drawing board. And I know every time we do something with this car, yeah, some people's grasp of the obvious really is amazing to me. Always in the crowd, put a 273 in and it'll go faster. Yeah, I know. The whole point of this car, think of it this way, this is a Slant 6 that just happens to be wrapped up in a Dodge Dart. If it had any other engine, it wouldn't be this project. So let me get this thing warmed up, get it off the trailer, get it warmed up, throw some gas in it, and we'll take a crack at the lights. In the meantime, I think Dr. Art is up in the staging lane, so okay, we'll get a look at his run too.
So, how did it do?
Yeah, a little bit better.
Okay.
I think, okay, at least it ran clean through. I didn't get that staticky. It picked up 3/10 and 2 miles an hour.
Okay, it's the right direction.
It's the right direction, but it's still way, way off. How did you do?
I did great until probably a head gasket came off in the third run. See all this? Kid, look at all this water. This, this is all me from there to there, from where you get your time slip, and about 100 feet after the time slip, and it just volcano of steam all the way down to the pits, and all the water came out of it.
Well, if it's going to happen, this is the place for it to happen.
Right. Test and tune and brake.
That's what it's all about.
So, the car will let you know when it's done for the day. It's done for the day.
You think it took out a head gasket?
All the hoses are still on it. So it's either the pump or a head gasket.
How did it feel upstairs?
It was fine, and no problem. It doesn't do anything funny. Like I said, I get my time slip. I just idle away from the time slip, and it just okay. So who knows?
I'm going to throw the clutch back in this go and
See what happens.
The plug's got to go in order on this engine. I have them numbered, but number 1 and number 6 are one heat range hotter than 2, 3, 4, and 5. Because early on, when we first started screwing around with this, I found that those outer cylinders wanted to run fat. So I automatically just started going one heat range up on those. And the plugs aren't perfect, but they're close enough. The more I think about this, I know it needs gear. I know it needs gear. But that's not all of it. I'm thinking camshaft. I'm thinking we gotta rethink what we've got as far as the camshaft goes, and we'll do a whole nother video on that. But for right now, I just want to get back in the lanes and make one more run with it, see what we end up with. We might be done for the night. Fox Mustang tagged the wall. I think he lost a tire early on in the run and made a mess out of things. It's going to be a while before they can get this cleaned up, so there's a good chance at this point we're not going to get our second run tonight. That's racing. Well, the cleanup from that wreck took a little bit over an hour, but because we were in the lanes, we were able to make one more run. And we learned a lot from that run. Let's go inside where it's a little less noisy. The road is wet, so the cars are making a lot of noise. So we learned a lot from that run. It was a 972, which I know, still way slow, really slow car. I know, I get it. But it's a full half-second quicker and 2 miles an hour faster than before we made our fixes to the ignition system. So to recap that, we closed up the point gap from 23 thousandths to 17 thousandths. I phased the rotor, and also, or the distributor cap, and we also removed one of the ballast resistors. So that made the difference. So we picked up a half second from doing that. And now the car is just smooth all the way through. It's not making any power, but it's smooth all the way through. So we've repaired 90% of the issues that we were having. There's still 10%, and that 10% is my inability to launch the car from idle or just off of idle. I actually have to be in the secondaries and flat-foot it from the secondaries before it'll go. Now, just so that we cover this, I've already put a bigger accelerator pump in it. I've already put a more aggressive accelerator pump cam in it. I've already put a bigger shooter in it, all on the primary side. But the car still will not leave off the primaries. So that's why the last couple of runs you see that I'm power braking the hell out of it, because I'm trying to avoid a stumble or a bog leaving from just, it doesn't want to leave on 2 barrels. I have no idea why. We're going to figure this out. That's the last, I think, of the repair end of things. And that'll help us. So the car ran a half second quicker in the 8th mile, but the 60 foots were exactly the same. It didn't pick up anything in the 60 foot. And there's an unusual aspect to that too. I'll get to that in 1 second. But the 60 foots didn't change. It's like a 206 60 foot. All right, here's the unusual aspect to this. And this ties in, I think, with the difficulty the car has doing burnouts as well. Because you notice the tires spin, and as soon as they start to grab, it switches over to the converter. It's like the motor won't pull past that point, right? All right. And I believe that has to do with my issue on the primary side of the carburetor. The unusual thing is, even though the car stayed the same 60-foot numbers, the seat of the pants felt completely different. And the difference was right at probably the 50 or 60-foot mark, which is why it didn't show up in the 60-foot ET. So what it does is, it leaves soft, right? Like, in other words, it just is not accelerating really for that first 60-foot. And that's that 2-second 60-foot. And then it feels solid, like it puts you back in the seat. But it only does it for, half a second. So picture this. You leave the starting line and it feels flat, right? It's moving forward, but it feels kind of flat. And all of a sudden it goes like it's pulling really hard, and then it flattens out again. Now, it's not flattening out because it's got a misfire or anything like that. It's flattening out, or a mechanical issue. It's flattening out because it's not making the power. It seems to make all of its power in this tight little range between, like, and I'm only guessing, right? But it seems like it makes all of its power in this little range between like 4,000 and like 4,500. Okay, I guess it's not exact numbers. I'm not really focusing on the tack, and I can only, you can only do so many things. You can only focus on so many things at the same time. And I'm not running this car all the time, so I'm mostly just concerned with driving it, just getting off the start line the best I can and shifting the whole bit. So, at any rate, it seems like it makes its power in a very tight little band, and then it goes away. So there's no power off the starting line, plenty of power, and then no power again, right? So it's like a tight little band. It comes into power, stays in power for just a split little bit there, and then fades. And it doesn't fade in a misfire or a problem way. Okay, because you can hear the car going down the track, and it's fine. The motor is crystal clear. It's not doing anything crazy anymore. But it's just not making any power. So that's where the tuning is going to come in. So our repair, we have to repair the reason, we have to find and repair the reason that it's not leaving the starting line. It have to be in the secondaries for it to leave the starting line. That's repair. Even though it's like tuning, it's still repair. It's a problem that has to be fixed. And then there's the refinement. And the refinement is, I need to find out why it's got that tight little power band, pulls hard and then just goes away. You know what I mean? And you just float on down the track. It is definitely not fuel starvation. It's nothing like that. So don't, right? And the plugs look perfect. The distribution is perfect. Early on, like last year, when we were screwing around with the carburetor, we were shooting for distribution, even distribution, and we got even distribution. So I'm thrilled with that. Now, that's not to say that once we figure out why it's not making power, it's not going to, the overall jetting isn't going to change, but the distribution of the jetting, the stagger of the jetting on the carburetor complements the manifold, and we're getting even all the way across. I'm sure that once we figure out where the power is hiding, then it'll need more fuel and it's going to show lean overall. But it's not doing that now. Right now it's showing, I mean, perfection. You could not ask for a better, more even plug read on something like a Slant 6. So, happy with that. I do have some ideas. I got a couple of ideas where I think the majority of that power is missing. And mostly it has to do with the exhaust. So from this point forward, we're only going to make one change at a time. The only change I'm going to make now is, and I'm going to do a whole video on this, explaining this and showing what we're going to do. I'm going to focus on this one area that I believe is hurting the cars with tightening up that power range, not allowing it to pull past 5,000 or so, because it spins to 6. That I watched the tack. It goes right, it goes 6,000 RPM, no problem, but no power up there. It's using up all of its power in around that 4,000, 4,500 RPM range. So I have an idea where that power is hiding. Now I also now have an idea of deficiencies in the setup, meaning the camshaft, the cam timing, and the valves. But that's way ahead of us. We're not going to go there yet. For right now, we just want to get this thing to pull evenly all the way through the upper power band. So the next time around, next video with this, I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain what we're going to do, and I'll show you how we're going to do it. And that'll be like much later on this week. We're not going to go out next Saturday. And I do have to get back on this charger. I got to start putting this charger together like pronto, because we got Power Torque coming right up. So, but overall, I'm happy with the results. We are definitely slightly less slow than we were last week, and that's a big improvement. Anytime you can pick up a full half second of ET, it's like, you got to be happy with that, and I'm happy with it. We're going to get there a little bit at a time. It's an interesting challenge. It's a fun challenge, and I know it seems like it might be frustrating, but it's not. I'm really enjoying this. And it goes right back to the whole thing. It's more fun to go fast with a slow car than slow with a fast car. So, all right. So that's it for now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.